Okay, so I have a video I'm working on that might take another week to finish, or maybe 2 weeks, who knows. So to avoid keeping this week empty, I thought that I might as well share a few thoughts I've been holding on ever since I finished reading Naruto, which was very recently, and I admittedly did not expect to finish it anytime soon. But I did, and it was an interesting ride. In case you're wondering what are my thoughts on it, in general I think Naruto is a good read, although if I had to be honest, I would not in full heart recommend reading the entire series unless you have a strong tolerance for bullshit directions. Here's how I would rate Naruto. Generally speaking, I would give it a 7 out of 10, but this rating is not consistent. Between the prologue and the Pain Assault arc, I would give it a solid 8 out of 10, but everything that came after that, which mostly accounts for the 4th Shinobi War, in my most generous state I would give it a 6, while also keeping in mind that there are specific moments later on, mainly involving Kaguya, that I would downright give it a 4. In spite of that, there is one thing about the series that I thought was consistently good throughout the entire journey, and that was Naruto's character. Everyone has their own opinion on Naruto Uzumaki and who's the best character in the entire series, and for me, I have to go with the main character himself. Naruto played a huge role in enhancing my enjoyment of the manga, which begins with his well-defined motivation, which is to become an Hokage, a position defined by being in charge of the Hidden Leaf Village and being accepted by everyone, which is something that Naruto so desperately craves as a result of not growing up with a family and being casted away by the entire village for being a Jinchuriki. This desperation and lack of attention ended up justifying a lot of character traits that Naruto has that I would typically find to be annoying, such as pulling pranks for the sake of attention, occasional rudeness, and stubbornness. But knowing what Naruto went through that led him to be like this makes me feel a lot more sad and sympathetic towards his attitude. When the third Hokage reflected on the fact that Naruto finally learned how to express himself with words instead of pranks, it made me smile, and trust me, I hate smiling. Although some traits that I would probably still find to be charming is his stupidity and childishness. Two things that I'm usually quite fond of, especially stupidity, and it did lead to some really funny moments where the characters around him would call him out on his stupidity, which was always a blast to watch, even when it came from characters I didn't really like. I can safely say that Naruto is one of the funniest characters there, with the only ones that managed to rival him being Kakashi Sensei, Jiraiya, and Guy Sensei. Even later on when the series took a more serious direction, Naruto would always remain a shining light. Although for me, what might be Naruto's biggest strength is his ability to create powerful interactions and relationships with pretty much every single character out there. The thing about Naruto is that he's not just an idiot, he's a stubborn idiot, but he's also someone that stands by his beliefs, and when you observe them, you'll realize that he has pretty inspiring and recommendable ideals, which is unfortunate to any character that has a different perception of the world when compared to Naruto, because he is not very reasonable and he'll expressively fight for his position even if it involves doing something crazy or potentially dangerous, which is very inspiring and motivational thing to witness for someone like me who very much sees eye to eye with Naruto on his beliefs. And also, Naruto's defense for his ideals always end up challenging the people around him and make them reflect on their entire personal background that led to the definition of their entire ideology, and in some cases even influenced their actions. I mean, he sure as hell made some friends like that, including some that are morally conflicting, and I can definitely appreciate how Naruto, just by meeting someone, can already make that character interesting to watch. Even if we look at Naruto's relationship with Sasuke, which I'm personally not a huge fan of, before the 3-year gap, the only reason why I was remotely interested in Sasuke's character was because he was the source of Naruto's jealousy, which motivated him to work even harder. And when we got to the point where even Sasuke started to notice that Naruto was growing and getting stronger, it made Sasuke feel like his power was being challenged and threatened by Naruto. And even later on, when Sasuke became a rogue ninja and less redeemable, Naruto's desire to bring him back was the only aspect related to Sasuke that didn't fade away from investment, because I understand how Naruto made a rule that he wouldn't go back on his word since he didn't grow up with a family, and the closest to a brother he ever had was Sasuke. And I still find Naruto's desire to bring him back to be somewhat justifiable, and while I'm sure some would argue that that was the most interesting part about his character, I would say otherwise, because when his life doesn't revolve around Sasuke, you still have his relationship with characters like Gaara, Iruka Sensei, Jiraiya, and Tsunade, and even very minor characters, in which their relationships are just as engaging, if not more, than Naruto's relationship with Sasuke. I mean hell, I could easily watch a series that's just about Naruto and Konohamaru, having both a friendly rivalry and a mental student relationship because they have a pretty fun and enjoyable chemistry. Another good example, and this is a personal one, Naruto's relationship with Hinata. Hinata is a character I've always found to be the most emotionally resonating, mainly because she's shy and generally lacks confidence, which is something I can definitely identify with. And this makes me increase my fondness for Naruto more because Hinata is inspired by Naruto's spirit. She admires how despite the fact that he's a loser, he never gives up, and Naruto's confidence inspires Hinata to always believe in herself, which is why even when he's fighting against one of her teammates in the Chunin exams, she chooses to root for Naruto because he's basically her hero and wants to support him. And this admiration she has is one I would have felt if I was her age. I've said that I've never actually watched or read Naruto when I was younger, but if I did, I'm sure Naruto would be a hero to me, and I would see him as a role model. Now that I'm 20 years old, I see the Grim Reaper as a role model. I'm also sure I would adapt the same never go back on my word mentality, and I would want to gain the same confidence and hope for success that Naruto has. And it's why whenever I see Hinata, who almost perfectly represents the mental state I would be in if I were her age, being inspired by him and being shit-talked by Neji in the Chunin exams, my respect for Naruto increases after he's sworn to take Neji down. Many people share the opinion that the Gaara vs Rock Lee fight was the best fight in the Chunin exams. And while I understand why people feel that way, at best I would say it's my second favorite, because my personal favorite will always be the Naruto vs Neji fight. It was carrying the tension and grudge of the initial fight with Hinata, and I feel like the stakes were a bigger deal when compared to Rock Lee, but in all fairness, not by a long shot. Naruto had to both semi-avenge Hinata and prove to Neji that you can't decide the result of the match before it ends solely based on destiny, because he was told his entire life that he was a loser, and winning this fight, which was against a very powerful opponent who's considered to be a genius, would ultimately break that curse and prove that you can achieve any goal as long as you keep fighting, and that's why it's my favorite fight of the entire Chunin exams arc. And those are pretty much my thoughts on this character. Next time I talk about Naruto, it will likely be related to the Storm games, although it's gonna take a couple of months before I even decide to make that video, so don't get too excited. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Bye for now.